Now the hip joint has two unique joints that I think are essential for you to understand, again, structure and function. You can tell by the pubic arch right here. This is the pelvis of a woman, again being greater than 100 degrees, usually somewhere around 110 degrees. Joining the two pubic bones together is a band of fibrocartilage. This is the pubic symphysis. This is a joint, a cartilaginous joint holding together the two pubic bones. But you also have the joint, the hip joint that we really think of, right over here, where the thigh bone or femur comes in contact with the hip. This is a classic ball and socket type joint. Here's the socket, and on the end of the femur you have the ball. Ball goes into the socket. Now, unlike the other ball and socket joint in your body, your shoulder, if you look closely at this one, the ball goes much deeper into the socket. That's going to make this joint a lot more stable than the shoulder. The increase in stability results in a decrease in flexibility, range of motion. You guys are all aware of the fact that you don't have the same range of motion in your hip as you do in your shoulder. All of you, I'm sure, can take your arm and do like a backstroke, where you circle your arm backwards all the way around. You cannot do that with your shoulder, or with your hip, excuse me. First of all, because of this deep socket. And one thing we can't show with this model here is that with this deep socket, there is a ring of fibrocartilage that goes around the outside. That even increases the thickness even more, the depth even more, so that the joint is really firmly pulled in there. Finally, well, not finally, but secondary feature here, on the femur, notice there's a little indentation here. This is where a ligament is normally found. Now the ligament attaches into the socket here. This is called the acetabulum. That ligament pulls that femur tightly into the socket. So there's more stability here. The key to the hip joint is you've got a whole lot of stability because you're bearing the weight of your entire body, and if we're standing up straight all day, we're doing this for 8 hours a day or better. So we need something here that is going to take the stress off the muscles and place the stress back on the bones. What you see here is a view of the hip joint. Make out the bones here, the ilium, ischium, pubis, and femur. And what you can't see is the head of the femur because it's pushed fully into the hip socket. But also for this view you can take a look and see all the ligaments that are all around the hip joint. Now if you look closely at the way these fibers run, you'll see that they actually pull tight as soon as the leg's extended, like this. When the hip is bent, you're sitting down for example, these fibers run more or show more relaxation, more slack. But as soon as you tighten up, as soon as you stand up, these fibers tighten up and pull the femur head firmly into your hip socket.